So, hey guys, today we're talking about another odd legacy card, and this is probably the somewhat kind of with an asterisk most useful one I've seen so far. So, noticeably, the first thing about this card is it's got the Goblin guy, but the second thing is this card is not really searchable, and it's also not a quick play, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. So the fact is to target one face-up card in a field zone, banish it, then place it face up in the other field zone. Then you can choose one field spell with a different original name in the current controller's graveyard and place it face up in the field zone of the player whose card was banished. So currently, there is no card or real way, well, before land flipping anyways, for you to give your opponent a specific field spell. Like there were cards that allow you to kind of activate a field spell on your opponent's field, like the Valence cards, right? But it's not as if you were giving your opponent Necro Valley to floodgate uh, themselves out of the game, kind of. Especially if they are not running any field spells, then it's not as rudimentary to remove as you think. So just for example, right? If we were to look at Nightmare Phoenix, what does this out exactly? Target one spell trap your opponent controls, but you control Necro Valley in this case, for example. So if I did that to you, right, and I forced the Necro Valley on you, Nightmare Phoenix can't out it. Harpies of Other Duster, that also will not be able to out it. Just for example, SP, of course, can out it because you can banish your own cards with SP. So that kind of works. And then land flipping is also even more interesting in the sense that if you had certain field spells, well, it kind of depends. That this right here would be very niche over playing like a Cosmic, for example. But let's say we have, I don't know, something like a field spell with a somewhat beneficial effect. So maybe we'll say Therion Discoliseum. This is probably the only one I can think of with a kind of generic one, but this is not really activatable unless you are playing Therions, though, actually, because you need to send a Therion card for this. It's not just generic protection. So maybe you can't activate that, actually. So is there something? I guess we can go with Raidsoth, I guess. Or, yeah. So if we have Pressured Planet Raidsoth, you can gain the attack boost from Raidsoth. That's about it. And also your opponent loses access to Raidsoth, I guess. Well, you don't have to actually have a field spell with a different original name in the graveyard. Your opponent could, though, which makes it a little bit more interesting. So if your opponent is playing multiple field spells, what we could do is we could banish their current field spell, and then that will get placed into our field zone. Then we can choose a field spell from their graveyard. So in this case, I don't know. We could, I don't know, maybe they're playing, let's see, what might they be playing? Secret Village? And maybe they just didn't get access to the part of their deck with Secret, well, with the spellcasters, so their Secret Village, they just used it as discard fodder or something. But now not Necro Valley. But yeah, we could technically put Necro Valley or something, but no, we can put their copy of Secret Village, and then maybe they have no spellcasters. Like, this is a very niche scenario, and also Secret Village is banned, but that's a different topic entirely at this point. But yeah, then they wouldn't be able to activate spells, question mark, and place it face up in the field zone of the player whose card was banished, right? But now notice something about this effect right here. You can choose one field spell with a different original name in the current controller's graveyard. So this, the entirety of this is optional, so we can just do the first part instead, you know? Target one face-up card in a field zone, banish it, then place it face up in the other zone. So noticeably, since this places, it won't activate. So unfortunately, if I somehow gave my opponent a Therian card and I used this, it would place the Therian card, but like the upside to that specifically would be that maybe something like the Therian card, the Therion field spell, is that it says you can only activate one Therion Disc Coliseum per turn, but the effects on the card here are not hard ones per turn, but also that's not a quick play spell, so this is kind of awkward. I don't remember if there was a card. Like, I vaguely remember there might be a card might be able to use land flipping's effect and kind of like trigger this effect in general as like quick effect, so it might be usable in the battle phase technically. But it's like really, I don't know how else to say this, but it's just awful to set up really. So yeah, that's about how that goes. But yeah, there's also technically, well, there was this card, but it's not legal in Master Duel. It might not even be implemented. Is set rotation? Oh, yeah, all right. Set 2 field spells with different names from your deck on the field, the one on your field and one on your opponent's field. While either of those cards remain set on the field, neither player can activate or set other field spells. So yeah, that's pretty disgusting. So what I could do is perhaps I could give my opponent, I don't know, let's say Secret Frickin' Village, and then I give myself something beneficial, or I give myself Mystic Mine or something, and then my opponent is suffering. So yeah, that's basically what you can do with set rotation, I guess. And land flipping, technically, you could also give your opponent Secret Village with land flipping. You would still have to play a spellcaster, which is weird, but you know, being able to give your opponent a field spell, I'm not 100% sure what that fully entails, but you can technically do this for some kind of goofy FTK probably, because I can't think of any other reasonable-ish way to use land flipping. Because even as like removal, this only removes field spells, whereas like Cosmic can remove actual back row and the field spell, and it's a quick play, so it could technically be an interruption, assuming we're going first with a Cosmic. So that's something. Meanwhile, land flipping being an ignition means it's likely only going to be just used as a part of a goofy FTK, I guess. I suppose if you do run 2 field spells though, I don't know. Let's say we have a chicken game. Land flipping is probably pretty decent, just kinda. So let's picture this. I activate chicken game as part of my combo, then I will activate a second chicken game that I somehow get access to later. Now we'll do land flipping. So I'll give my opponent my current chicken game, and then I will put my chicken game in the graveyard onto the field, right? And then I can activate both chicken games again. That's probably the most interesting thing I can think of doing with land flipping. Or maybe you can use some other kind of card similar to I don't know, similar to I guess chicken game in the sense that you can activate it despite your opponent controlling the card or something. I mean, there are a decent amount of decks that use field spells now, so not really sure how useful this is. But if I were playing, for example, Zombie World with Orcus cards, giving my opponent Zombie World, well, like if we think long term, like by like turn 20, like that kind of energy, if I give my opponent Zombie World and they don't have a reasonable way to out the Zombie World I gave them, then maybe my opponent just randomly, well, depending on what deck they're playing, they just randomly get floodgated out by Zombie World and they just can't remove it, which is kind of hilarious. But most decks, I would say right now, just don't care too much about Zombie World. Well, actually, anything playing Fiendsmith cares because your Fiendsmith engine's like dead. But aside from that, right, you're mostly fine. And then with the Orcus cards, I can still activate them as quick effect on my opponent's turn. Not that it actually matters that much in Orcus Zombie World because like Orcus doesn't do that much anyways, like on your opponent's turn if we're focusing on just Dorcas cards and not like your random generic extra deck cards and whatnot. All you really do is you special summon Dingirsu, and that's about it. So we can kind of do that with just Zombie World on the field anyways, so kind of awkward and as quick effect in the same way. So yeah, extremely awkward actually. But yeah, that's all I got for you guys today, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.